The psychology of transformation, methods and practices. Both Nietzsche and Buddha offer therapeutic philosophies aimed at transforming human consciousness. They diagnose psychological problems and prescribe practices to address them. Yet their methods diverge as dramatically as their ultimate goals. The Buddha developed systematic training in ethics, meditation, and wisdom. Nietzsche offered provocative ideas, but no systematic practice regimen. Buddhist training begins with ethical conduct to stabilize the mind and reduce harm. The 5 precepts for laypeople prohibit killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxication. These restraints reduce guilt, anxiety, and social conflict that disturb mental peace. Monks and nuns adopt hundreds of additional rules regulating behavior in minute detail. This external discipline creates conditions conducive to internal transformation. The psychological rationale behind ethical precepts is sophisticated. Harmful actions generate remorse and fear of consequences that agitate the mind. An agitated mind cannot achieve the concentration required for deep meditation. Furthermore, harming others strengthens the delusion of separation between self and other. Ethical conduct weakens this delusion by cultivating empathy and care. Meditation forms the core of Buddhist transformative practice. Samatha. Meditation develops concentration by focusing attention on a single object. Common objects include the breath, a visual image, or a repeated phrase. When attention wanders, the meditator gently returns focus to the chosen object. Through sustained practice, concentration deepens into states called jhanas. Jhanas are absorbed concentration states characterized by profound tranquility and joy. 4 material jhanas involve progressively refined levels of concentration and equanimity. 4 immaterial jhanas transcend even subtle objects into boundless space, consciousness, nothingness, and beyond. These states provide temporary respite from suffering and strengthen the mind for insight practice. Vipassana meditation cultivates insight into the 3 characteristics of existence. Meditators observe phenomena arising and passing away in present moment experience. They note sensations in the body, emotions, thoughts, and perceptions without judgment. Through sustained observation, the impermanent nature of all phenomena becomes viscerally apparent. This direct perception of impermanence leads to insight into suffering and no self. One sees that clinging to impermanent phenomena inevitably produces dissatisfaction. One recognizes that no stable self can be found within the constantly changing aggregates. These insights are not intellectual conclusions, but experiential realizations, transforming consciousness fundamentally. The progress of insight follows a predictable sequence documented in meditation manuals. Initial practice brings increased awareness of previously unnoticed mental and physical phenomena. Meditators often experience intense physical sensations, emotional releases, and vivid mental images. As practice deepens, phenomena appear to arise and pass away with increasing rapidity. Eventually, perception itself seems to disintegrate into discrete moments of consciousness. This can be frightening as ordinary reality dissolves into flux. Continued practice leads to a turning point called knowledge of the path. The meditator directly perceives nirvana as the unconditioned cessation of suffering. This marks stream entry, the first of 4 enlightenment stages in Theravada Buddhism. Stream enterers have eliminated certain fundamental defilements permanently. They can no longer believe in a permanent self or doubt the efficacy of the path. they will achieve full liberation within 7 lifetimes at most. Subsequent stages eliminate progressively deeper layers of craving and aversion. Once returners reduce sensual desire and ill will, but have not eliminated them completely. Non-returners eliminate these defilements entirely and will not be reborn in the sensual realm. Arahants achieve complete liberation, having eliminated all 10 fetters binding beings to suffering. Modern neuroscience has begun mapping the brain changes associated with meditation practice. Researchers have studied Tibetan monks with tens of thousands of hours of meditation experience. Brain imaging reveals increased gamma wave activity during compassion meditation. These high-frequency oscillations indicate synchronized neural firing across distant brain regions. Long-term meditators show structural brain changes in regions associated with attention and emotion regulation. Increased gray matter density appears in the insula, which processes bodily sensations and emotional awareness. The prefrontal cortex, involved in executive control and decision-making, also shows increased volume. Simultaneously, the amygdala, which processes fear and threat detection, decreases in size. Studies of mindfulness meditation document changes in default mode network activity. This network activates during mind-wandering and self-referential thinking. Experienced meditators show reduced default mode network activity and increased connectivity with attention networks. This correlates with reduced rumination and enhanced present-moment awareness. Research on compassion meditation reveals increased activation in empathy-related brain regions. The anterior insular and anterior cingulate cortex respond more strongly to others' suffering. These findings suggest meditation can genuinely increase empathy and prosocial motivation. The Buddhists claim that practice transforms character receives scientific validation. Nietzsche offered no comparable systematic training method for consciousness transformation. He provided no meditation instructions, no ethical precepts, no stage path to enlightenment. Instead, he offered provocative ideas meant to shake readers from conventional thinking. His philosophy is diagnostic and therapeutic, but not prescriptive in the Buddhist sense. Nietzsche's method involves relentless self-examination and psychological honesty. One must excavate unconscious motives and drives that shape thought and behavior. This requires courage, because what one discovers may be unflattering or disturbing. We must acknowledge that morality often masks resentment, that compassion may hide weakness, that idealism can be cowardice. He advocated genealogical analysis to reveal hidden origins of values and beliefs. Where did your moral convictions come from, and what psychological needs do they serve? Tracing genealogy exposes how present values arose from past power struggles and psychological dynamics. This demystifies morality by showing its all-too-human origins. The eternal recurrence functions as a thought experiment for self-assessment and transformation. Ask yourself whether you would will the exact return of your life infinitely. If the answer is no, what would need to change for you to embrace eternal return? This question forces radical honesty about whether you truly affirm your existence. Someone incapable of embracing eternal recurrence lives inauthentically, fleeing from existence. They organize life around avoiding pain rather than creating value. They seek external validation rather than self-generated meaning. They remain trapped in reactive existence, driven by fear and resentment. Achieving amor fati requires reorganizing one's drives and values around life affirmation. This involves no technique, but rather a fundamental reorientation of attitude. One must cultivate what Nietzsche calls the Dionysian spirit that embraces chaos and becoming. This means accepting destruction as necessary for creation and suffering as fuel for growth. The concept of self-overcoming stands at the center of Nietzsche's transformative vision. One must perpetually surpass oneself, refusing to settle into comfortable stability. Every achievement becomes a platform for further striving rather than a resting place. This requires tremendous energy and vitality, what Nietzsche calls great health. Great health is not mere physical wellness, but a condition of psychological abundance. It involves robust drives organized into a powerful hierarchy, serving creative ends. The healthy person can withstand suffering and transform it into productive energy. They experience life intensely, embracing both ecstasy and agony without flinching. Nietzsche saw art as the highest form of this life-affirming activity. Art creates meaning through form and beauty without claiming metaphysical truth. It acknowledges life's horror while making existence aesthetically justified. The artist becomes the model for how humans should relate to existence. Comparing these approaches reveals profound methodological differences. Buddhism offers a clear path that anyone can follow through systematic practice. Millions have traversed this path over 2.5 millennia with documented results. The method is public, teachable, and relatively independent of cultural context. Nietzsche's approach remains radically individualistic and vague about practical implementation. How exactly does one achieve amor fati or organize one's drives? No practice tradition exists to guide aspirants beyond reading Nietzsche's writings. The philosophy inspires but provides little practical guidance for transformation. Yet Nietzsche's method has the advantage of engaging with active life rather than withdrawing from it. One need not renounce worldly activity or spend hours in meditation. The transformation occurs through creative work, relationships, and cultural engagement. This makes it more compatible with modern secular life than monastic Buddhism. Buddhist practice can be integrated into lay life through adapted forms. Mindfulness-based stress reduction programs teach meditation without Buddhist religious framework. These secular adaptations have proven effective for reducing anxiety, depression, and chronic pain. Millions benefit from meditation techniques stripped of their soteriological context. Critics argue these secularized versions lose Buddhism's radical transformative potential. Without the framework of dependent origination and no self, meditation becomes mere stress management. The goal shifts from liberation to improved functioning within samsara. This domesticates Buddhism into a therapeutic technique rather than a revolutionary philosophy. Similarly, Nietzsche's ideas have been popularized in self-help contexts with mixed results. Amor fati appears in motivational books as simple, positive thinking. Will to power gets reduced to personal empowerment and business success strategies. These adaptations capture superficial elements while missing the philosophical depth. The question remains whether consciousness transformation requires systematic practice or can emerge through ideas alone. Buddhist tradition overwhelmingly emphasizes practice over intellectual understanding. Merely knowing about no self does not liberate. One must realize it experientially through meditation. Insight arises from direct perception, not conceptual analysis. Nietzsche seemed to believe that ideas themselves could transform consciousness. The right thought at the right moment can shatter old patterns and enable new ones. Reading his works should provoke existential crisis that forces fundamental reorientation. The philosophy does its work through intellectual disruption rather than contemplative practice. Modern psychology offers evidence supporting both approaches. Cognitive therapy demonstrates that changing thought patterns can reduce suffering significantly. Identifying and challenging distorted thinking improves mood and functioning. This supports Nietzsche's emphasis on ideas and interpretations shaping experience. Simultaneously, contemplative practices produce effects distinct from cognitive interventions alone. Meditation alters brain structure and function in ways that talking therapy does not. The combination of cognitive work and meditative practice appears most effective. This suggests both thinkers captured partial truths about human transformation.